All right, so let's get started. So we'll need a belt and a block. Oh, there's my block over there. And we are going to start sitting in Sukhasana with the crossed legs. And then let's all put our right leg front, so I'll be the only one who has to remember. All right, so sitting in Sukhasana, right leg in front. We have a belt, we have a block, and using those arms alongside to lengthen up, getting space between the vertebrae, space in the hip sockets. And whatever little shifting and squinching you want to do. And then we will finish with the hands on the knees, palms down or palms up, either one. Big inhale and exhale, feeling like you're resting against the wall behind you, sliding up the wall behind you. And that breath is slowing down, getting a little deeper, getting a little longer. And then let's reach out wide through the collarbones, through the fingertips, breathing those arms up, big reach out, taking up lots of space, and we'll interlock the fingers, turning the palms up, ground those shoulder blades down, pressing the arms up, shoulders down, a little more actively long and flat against the wall behind you. And then rounding back and pressing those hands forward. You can let the elbows have a little bend, scooping back, and then pressing forward and coming up, maybe a little arch, and release the hands. Deep breath, and let's do that again. Breathing those arms up, and when we first come up, being a little bit flatter, try not to do so much of a big lift from the front of the body. And we'll interlock the fingers, turn the palms up, pressing the hands up, shoulders down. So trying to lift the front of the body in and up, the back of the body in and up. So we're lengthening right through the center here. Nice and even on the front and back of the body. And then rounding back, pressing the hands forward, maybe a little bend in the elbows, scooping back, and then pressing forward, coming up, and then into a little arch, lengthening the front of the body a little more. And release the hands. Oh, that was a lot of fun. Let's do it once more. Breathing those arms out. Interlock the fingers and lengthening up, lengthening down, trying to balance the front and back plane of the body. And then rounding back. So now we're lengthening the back of the body even more. And then as we come forward and up with a little bit more lift and arch, we're lengthening the front of the body even more. And release the hands. Let's come forward. Pouring over, softening the tops of the shoulders, the face, and the jaw. And then coming up, unfurling that spine. So if you're not sitting at the front of your mat, sort of turning so that you are facing the short end of the mat, we have our belts nearby, and we're going to straighten those legs out in front, and taking the belt around the feet, lengthening up through the top of the head. And just think of lengthening. So we're not trying to go forward so much, just long through the top of the head, long backs of the legs along the floor, shoulder blades into the back. And then maybe a little forward. Inhale and exhale. And then while we're here, getting your belt kind of even on those feet so you have the same distance on each end. So if you have a short belt, well, we're going to end up doing what we can here. And then we're going to start rolling down and back, holding on to that belt for a little resistance to slow us down. So you might reach the end of your belt or belt object long before you reach the floor. So just hold there at the very end of your belt if you're there already for a few moments, feeling that core strength, and then let the belt slide out of your hands and down to the floor. So we're just using that belt to take ourselves down with a little bit more control, or at least part of the way down. And here we are on the floor. And keep reaching through the legs, long through the top of the head. And let's bend the right leg, pulling the thigh to the chest, reaching long through the left leg, lengthening through the top of the head. And then belt around the right foot, extending the right leg up. Inhale and exhale, pouring out through both legs. Strong core into the center of your body, into the floor. And then belt into the right hand, and we'll bring that leg out to the diagonal side. Try to keep reaching through that left leg as well. Inhale and exhale, breathing out through both heels. Anchoring the core into the floor. And then bringing that right leg up, passing the belt off to the left hand, right arm reaches out to the side, out from the shoulder, bringing the right leg across to the left, rolling all the way onto your left side, onto the outer edge of the left foot. Inhale and exhale, breathing out that right outer hip, out the outer edge of the right foot. And then breathing up through the spine, out the right shoulder, out the right fingertips. And of course, if it feels like a little too much with the straight leg, or you just don't have room in your space, you can bend that right knee and do it with the bent right leg. And one or two more deep breaths. Really reach from that right leg across, spiraling out the right fingertips. Coming back to the center, bringing the right leg down, sliding it out to straight, and then take a few moments getting organized here on the floor in Supta Tadasana, reclining mountain pose. And then we will bend the left leg in, reaching along through that right heel along the floor, along through the top of the head, belly to the spine to the floor. And tilt around the left foot and extending that left leg up, reaching along through the right heel as well. And then that anchoring into the core that sort of connects into the length and through the top of the head. And belt into the left hand, bringing that left leg out to the diagonal side. Try to keep reaching through that right leg. Big inhale into the center, exhale, pouring out. Trying to keep long and flat and extended along the floor. And then we will bring that left leg back up. And passing it off, belt off to the right hand, left arm out to the side, out from the shoulder, bringing that left leg across to the right, all the way to the outer edge of that right foot. And then reaching along through the outer edge of the left foot, reaching out through the left fingertips, maybe using the bent leg for that left leg. Inhale and exhale. One or two more deep breaths here, really reaching from that left knee across and out the left fingertips, feeling the twist here. And coming back to the center, bringing the left leg down, sliding it out to straight, stretching both arms up overhead, and then maybe a little squinging or whatever else you want to do. A little bit more of an indulgent stretching arms overhead, maybe a little wrist and ankle circling. And pull the knees into the chest, nose up to the knees, and we'll roll like a ball up and down, or maybe just a little gentle roll here and side to side. If going all the way up and down doesn't work for your spine. And as we roll back and down, really contract back in the abdominal muscles. Don't just kind of throw yourself back. Make that round shape. And a few more breaths of rolling. And then we'll all come up and we'll make our way up onto our feet in a little ball here. Or you can always be up higher if a tight little ball doesn't work for your knees or ankles. And then from here, putting the hands on the floor, walking the feet back, expanding out to downward facing dog. Inhaling up to the sitting bones, exhale, pouring down the backs of the legs. You know, no matter how many times I say that, and I've said it a lot of times, there's still that pull back and pour down. It's one of the things that's almost always a new thing for me, even though I've said it so many times. And walking that dog or anything else you want to do here. And then finishing with that, finding the best downward facing dog you can do at this moment. Nothing moving but the breath. And then let's lengthen forward to the plank. Then we're going to make our way either to a cobra on the floor, maybe the Sphinx, maybe an upward facing dog, some sort of back bend shape that you can hold for a few breaths. I'm going to go for kneeling up dog myself, setting the knees down, a little chaturanga thing, pulling forward and up. So you can be down in the cobra, maybe in the Sphinx on the forearms, or here in an up dog, or somewhere else. The basic principle being length in the front of the body, a little contract of the back of the body. And let's take 2 or 3 more breaths. And then ripple yourself with a little cat and cow back to child's pose. Taking a few breaths here in child's pose. Let's expand up to our downward facing dog again. And if you want, you could always go through a vinyasa here, or we'll just hold this downward facing dog for 3 breaths or so. And then looking between the hands to jump or step forward. Into the concave back, halfway up. Folding over. And let's come up to standing, big front body yawn. So here we are once again, lengthening the front of the body, contracting the back. And then a big reach down with the arms and lengthen up through the top of the head to Dasana, the mountain pose. Inhale and exhale. See if you can find that feeling of flatness and extend like when we were lying on the floor. And we're going to Utkatasana on our way down. So let's do it with the ripple. So we come up into our front body yawn again. And then we bend the knees and let that back arch a little bit more. Your butt sticks back, circling the arms. And then as the arms come forward, let them tuck the tailbone for a moment. And then lengthen and flatten everything out into that Utkatasana, the chair pose. Pulling those sitting bones a little bit more back. And let's take a twist here. Wide arms reaching fingertip to fingertip. And then a big reach around with that right hand into Namaste. Still feeling that width across the upper back and collarbones as if you're extending the arms. And Namaste in front. So if you need a break out of this Utkatasana, just forward bend for a moment. Otherwise, here we still are. Maybe our thighs are getting a little burny. And twisting to the left. Pulling the arms wide. And a big reach around with that left arm, hands to Namaste. And back to the center, reaching forward. How are those thighs doing? Maybe a little more support from the core, a little more work from that upper back. And let's press into the floor, opening up the front of the body, front body yawn, unfolding all those joints. And diving over. Concave back, folding over, bend the knees and sitting down. Oh, that ended well. Crossing the left leg in front. So aren't you glad I was the only one who had to remember which leg was in front? Left leg in front. So I'm just going to turn around and face you again here. And once again, landing on the sitting bones, long and spacious spine. Just take a few moments being here. And then having your belt nearby again. And we'll take a big circle with the arms. Reaching up, reaching wide and down. And then we'll go the other direction. Reaching back, reaching up and over and down the center line. Let's do that again. Reaching back. And reaching forward. All right, then getting your belts. And I always sort of start with holding the belt the same distance my knees are, but you can use any distance you want. And then we're holding the belt, so don't wrap it around your hands and wrists because you want your hands to be able to slide out as needed. Ah, and then lifting all the way from the base of the spine up through the arms, shoulders a little bit drop down, and feel like you're pulling that belt apart. You'll feel the upper back engage there while you're pulling it apart. And that action is going to help the front of the shoulder and across the upper chest open and stretch more. And then press the arms back, however far they're going to go. If you feel like you already need a little slide out with the hands, go ahead and do that. Breathing here. Keep pulling the belt. You can take a little gentle elbow bend for a moment and extend again. Another option is dropping the chin forward. That often lets those arms move back a little further. And then you can put a little side to side or side bend sway in there if that feels like that's stretching out the front of the shoulders even more. So you can hold, I'm sort of going back and forth here. And we'll do this for maybe another 30 seconds to a minute or so, working for yourself. Maybe trying to ease the arms back, but also trying to find a little bit more ease and spaciousness. Try not to be too goal-oriented here, like you want to get your arms all the way down and back, because you don't want to overstretch the front of the shoulder. You can even put little micro tears in this by being too aggressive. So just breathe wherever you can be, pulling the belt apart, rounding the shoulder blades down. You might feel just a little isometric work somewhere can make the stretch a little bit more intense without having to push into the range of motion too far. All right, just another few breaths here. And then we will bring the arms down, let that belt slide out. Inhale and exhale, taking a few moments, feeling the effect of all that. And then coming forward, just a short forward bend. Inhale and exhale, breathing between those shoulder blades across that upper back. And then coming up, and we're going to take those legs out to the straddle. So, getting yourself organized where you fit in your space. So I'm going to go back to being the mirror here. Reaching long through those inner heels, a little lift up from behind. And we will come forward for a few breaths. Inhaling into the center, exhale, pouring out and over. So there we have both legs out to the side in the belt at the same time. And then coming back up. And we'll bend the right leg into the Janu Shirsasana position. So if your right knee is not happy about this, you could keep the right leg straight, Another option is having a block or any other thing, sometimes a little prop up under that right knee if it's not very close to the floor, can ease that knee joint. All right, so here we are, one long leg, one short leg, or maybe two long legs. Reaching from the right knee out the left heel, long through the top of the head. Feeling those wide and open shoulders as we take a twist to the right. Inhale and exhale. And then left hand onto the left leg. Keep that twisting action. Reaching out with the right arm, coming up and over that left leg in Parvarita Janushirasana. Using that little bit more open upper chest, pulling that right arm back. And then coming up long through the top of the head back to the center. So we're going to do that again 3 times with a single breath on each element. We'll hold actually, I think, 2 breaths over the legs. So we're in the center. We inhale and exhale, twisting right. Left hand to the left leg, inhale and exhale, coming over. And just 1 breath here in the side bend. And then a breath to bring you back up. And let's do that twice more. And twist. And coming over that left leg. And hold and deepen. Lifting back up to the center once more. Twisting right. And left hand, left leg coming over. Breathe and deepen. And coming up. And let's take that right leg out to straight again. And we'll do the same on the left. Bending the left leg in. Into the half dragonfly or the Janushirasana position. Take a few moments getting settled here, maybe using the block under that left knee, or a towel or a blanket or whatever you have. And then slowly, the first time, twisting to the left. Big inhale and exhale. Wide across the shoulders. And then right hand onto the right leg, reaching out, reaching up and over. So it's almost like you're holding that belt again between the arms or the hands. Over into Parvarita Janushirasana, pulling that left shoulder open. One more deep breath here. And then coming up, inhale and exhale, lift through the top of the head. Then 3 more times on 1 breath. Inhale and exhale, twisting left. And inhale and exhale, up and over the right leg. And hold and deepen. And then coming up. And twice more. And twist. And up and over. And hold and deepen. And coming up. Once more. And twist. And over. Deepen the stretch. And coming up. And straighten out that left leg. Reaching out through both heels. Let's come forward. Evening on the two sides out. And then coming up. Bringing those legs in and we'll get to be facing the front of our mat. Again, the short end. And rolling up onto our feet to expand up in the forward bend. Taking a couple breaths here. Balancing on the feet. Extending through the legs. And let's come up to standing. Big front body yawn. And we'll press the arms wide and down to Dasana Samasthiti. And then let's bring the hands all the way around to Namaste in front. And coming over. Big inhale up. And exhale, diving over. Concave back, folding over. We'll step back with the left leg, so we have the right lunge. Lengthen that out, and then bringing that left knee down into Anjayasana. You can stay with the fingertips on the floor, or bringing the arms up. Inhaling up the front, exhale, pouring down the back. And a big reach down with the arms and straighten up the left leg, stepping back to the plank. So you can hold this plank for 3 or 4 breaths or going through the vinyasa, any version. I'm going to do kneeling chaturanga, my usual version these days. And then we will all meet up in downward facing dog. Let's lift the right leg up. Reaching long through the heel, reaching into the floor through all 3 limbs. And bend the knee, dog at the high fire hydrant, holding that left leg nice and steady. And then extending your right leg out to straight again, and through to the lunge. Let's come up in the warrior 1. So as you bring your left heel down back there, make sure it doesn't cross underneath the line of the right leg there. Each leg on its own side of the center line. And coming up in the warrior 1. You could use the high lunge here if you really wanted. Inhaling up the front, exhale, pouring down the back. And then let's eagle pose the arms, bringing the arms down and the right arm crosses under, wrapping those arms around, or you can just hold the shoulders. Couple more breaths here. And then we'll lengthen up the front of the body. And then a long reach out. So you can release the hands to the floor at any time as we come over with those eagle pose arms, maybe sinking down inside the right leg if that works for you. We're not going to come back up, so don't worry about going too low. And then we'll release the hands and we'll straighten up the right leg. And so maybe pulling that left foot in a little bit closer for our Parsvottanasana so that we're nice and stable. Feeling both legs lengthening and extending. The sitting bones reach back and pouring over your right leg for a few breaths. And lengthening out, making that spine as long and flat against the ceiling as you can, using those abdominal muscles. And we will twist to the right, Ardha Trikonasana. How's the breathing going here? And then a big reach down with that right arm. And bend the right knee to pivot around into the elephant rider. Pressing those knees out. Maybe a little squinging. And then we'll straighten the legs, turn the feet to parallel into the wide leg forward bend. And then turning back to the right lunge. And stepping back to the plank, through the vinyasa or not, and downward facing dog. And here we all are in downward facing dog. Looking between the hands to jump or step forward. Into the concave back, halfway up. Folding over. And coming up to standing, big front body yawn. Pressing the arms wide and down, lift through the top of the head, hands to namaste in front. Taking a few breaths here, samasthiti, steadiness. And we'll do that on the left. Big inhale up. And exhale, diving over. Concave back, halfway up, folding over. And we'll step back with the right leg into the lunge on the left, lengthening from the top of the head out the right heel. And then bringing that right knee down in Jayasana. You can stay low with your fingertips on the floor or coming up. Inhaling up the front, exhale, pouring down the back. And then a big wide reach, arms down the sides, and straighten up that right leg, stepping back with the left leg to the plank. Holding the plank a few breaths or through the vinyasa. then we'll all meet up in downward facing dog. And let's lift our left leg up. Reaching long through the heel, reaching down into the floor. Bend the left knee, dog at the high fire hydrant, opening that left hip a little more. And straightening out the left leg through to the lunge. Warrior number one. So kind of look back at your right foot as you get it in place. Make sure it's on its own side of the mat. And coming up in the warrior one, Virabhadrasana number one. Or you could use the high lunge if you would rather. Breathing here. Every breath a subtle action, a little adjustment, or a little bit more ease. And then we'll eagle pose the arms, bringing the arms down and around, left arm underneath, wrapping those arms, or you can hold the shoulders. Taking a few breaths here. Breathing between the shoulder blades. Keeping yourself focused and present with that breath. And then we'll take a little lift up the front of the body. And then reaching forward and over. Bringing the hands to the floor if you need to. And if you can, maybe sinking right down inside that left leg for a few breaths. And then release the arms, hands to the floor, straightening your left leg, maybe bringing the right foot in a little bit more. Just two ideas about doing Parsvottanasana, this pose here. One, you're trying to get your legs as wide as possible. And two, they're only 2 or 3 feet apart. And then there's, of course, kind of in the middle, which is what I'm doing here. Close enough that I feel more stable, far enough apart that it's still a little challenging for the stretch and lengthen. All right, let's pour over that left leg for a few breaths. And maybe that left leg isn't quite straight yet. That's all right, just keep pulling up that kneecap, sliding up toward that left hip with a straightening intention. And then let's lengthen out, pressing up long and flat against the ceiling, making the abdominal muscles and the back muscles work here. And we will twist to the left. Parvrita Trikonasana, the rotated triangle. Trying to keep breathing deeply. They'll turn it into a rotated lunge if needed. One more breath. And then bringing that arm down, a little bend in the left knee. Turn ourselves to the elephant rider. And a little squinging here, or not. And then we will just straighten the legs, turning the feet into parallel into the wide leg forward bend. Inhale and exhale, relaxing the face and the jaw. And then turning back to our left lunge. Stepping back to the plank, maybe through a vinyasa, maybe holding the plank. I think I'll hold the plank. Can you feel like you're just lying on the ceiling? How effortless can you make any effort you're making? And downward facing dog. And then child's pose. And we'll slide out onto our stomach into the Sphinx. Inhale and exhale, lengthening out that front plane of the body again. That's the one we tend to fold into and contract during most of our ordinary life, so a little extra stretch out of that. Pressing the tailbone a little down into the floor, reaching back through the feet. Inhale and exhale, big circle of breath. And if you want to adjust this pose for yourself, go ahead. Maybe you want to do something a little different. Maybe it's just the elbows lift. Maybe the hands slide further out. And then we will take a couple more breaths wherever we are. And making your way down onto the floor. Big inhale and exhale, letting go, really sinking into the floor for a few breaths. And a little downward facing Shavasana. And then we will just roll ourselves around onto our back to head for Shavasana. So coming around, Let things settle there a moment. Does there seem to be anything your body needs or wants right now? Maybe figure 4. Crossing the right leg over. If you're coming along with me in figure 4, pulling that in. And switching legs if you're doing a one-sided thing. Inhale and exhale. Here we are, softening things, slowing the breath down again. Using a similar process to bring ourselves into our practice at the beginning of class. And a similar process to bring ourselves out to finish our practice. And then we'll make our way into Shavasana. Inhale and exhale, letting go. Every breath sinks you a little bit more into the floor, a little deeper inside yourself. And then breathing back into your body. Moving the fingers and toes, maybe circling the wrists and ankles. Stretching the arms up overhead. And Gently make our way up to sitting. Sitting in any comfortable position with that long and spacious spine. Taking a few more moments, sitting quietly inside yourself. Namaste. Thank you for coming. We stop the recording here.